going to want to be able to decide whether two quantities are proportional. And remember what we said about proportional quantities. Two quantities are proportional if their ratio is constant. What do we mean when we say the ratio is constant? We mean that between one situation and another situation, the ratio does not change. So if I say Bob's weekly paycheck is proportional to the hours he worked the previous week, what does that mean? Well, suppose that in week 1, Bob works 25 hours and he earns $250. In week 2, Bob works 32 hours and he earns $320. And in week 3, Bob works 29 hours and he earns $290. If I write the ratio of paycheck to hours, or the ratio of hours to paycheck, I'll see that the ratio from the first week, the ratio from the second week, and the ratio from the third week, I should see that those are all equal. How can I check that they're equal? Well, this is a proportion. This is another proportion. I know how to check whether a proportion is true, right? So I can check whether this equals sign is true. I can check whether this equals sign is true. If they're both true, then they're all equal. Well, looking at my cross products here, I want to see 25 times 320. Does that equal 250 times 32? And of course, we can just work out that multiplication. Though, looking at the way we're going to work out this multiplication, maybe we can already see that these are going to give us the same answer, right? Because either way, we're going to multiply 32 times 25 and put a 0 on the end. So here I'll have 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 800, and put a 0 on the end. Over here I'll do the same multiplication. And so I get 8,000 equals 8,000, which I think you'll agree is true on most days. I'd like you to try on your own to check this proportion. Pause the video and try it now. I think that here the cross products we'll get are going to be 32 times 290, and we'll want to see, is that equal to 320 times 29? And working out both of those multiplication problems, we're going to get 9,280 over here, and 9,280 over here. And we see that those are, in fact, going to be equal. So the first proportion is true, the second proportion is true. All three of these ratios are equal. So just like the story told us, these three quantities are proportional. Notice, when we wrote down these three ratios, they had to be the same ratios. Each one had to be time to money, hours worked to dollars earned. I couldn't switch one of them around and hope to make it true, right? The ratio of hours to dollars is different from the ratio of dollars to hours, even though they describe the same relationship. And also notice that each ratio, the numerator and denominator came from the same week. I couldn't swap information from the first week with information from the second week and hope for it to work. The ratio from the first week should equal the ratio from the second week, should equal the ratio from the third week. I'm going to give you one of these to try. I'm just going to give you 2 situations instead of 3. Suppose that Jake makes excellent pancakes. On Monday, he makes 3 pancakes using 2/3 cup of buttermilk. And on Friday, he makes 24 pancakes using 5 1/3 cup of buttermilk. Are these quantities proportional? There are 3 steps to answering this question, and I've given you hints to the first 2. Pause the video and try this now. Okay, to decide if the quantities are proportional, we need to decide if the ratios on the various days are the same. So we'll write down the ratio for Monday of pancakes to buttermilk. On Monday we had 3 pancakes. And how much buttermilk did it take to make those? 2/3 of a cup. On Friday, he made 24 pancakes using 5 1/3 cups of buttermilk. Okay, so the question is the ratio of 3 pancakes to 2/3 cup buttermilk the same as the ratio of 24 pancakes to 5 1/3 cups buttermilk? That is 5 pancakes over 2/3 cups going to be equal to 24 pancakes over 5 1/3 cups? Well, to decide that, we want to look at the cross products. We'll have 3 times 5 1/3, and we want to say, is that equal to 2/3 times 24? Okay, well now we just need to do this multiplication. 3 times 5 1/3. In order to do multiplication to it, we need to write this mixed number as an improper fraction. And we'd like to write 3 as 3 over 1. How many thirds is 5 1/3? Well, I take each of my 5 whole things and cut it into 3 equal parts. Add in the 1/3 I started with. So I'll have 15 plus 1 is 16 thirds. Let's see, so I'll have 3 times 16 over 3. Oh, I see the 3's cancel. I'm left with just the 16. On the other hand, 2/3 times 24 wholes. Well, I'll have 2 times 24 over 3. Do those have any common factors? I think 3 is a factor of 24, isn't it? I'll have 2 times 3 times 8. The 3's will cancel, and I'll be left with just 2 times 8 is 16. Is it the case that 16 equals 16? Sure is. So the question was, are the quantities proportional? The answer is yes, they are proportional.